Hello, everyone. This is Bob again from the Bob and Jer podcast. First off, we all know the Pope just recently died, and this segment I'm going to do on this podcast has got nothing to do with putting him down or degrading him or disrespecting him and his position and everything. He was a Pope. We all know that. But the segment I'm doing has got to do with the Catholic Church. And if you're the Pope, you're the head of the Catholic Church. So this is an informational podcast I'm getting ready to do. I have a lawyer, and as you can see on the screen behind me, Mitchell Garabedian. He not only practices abuse cases in our country, but also international law. And he's very good. He's very caring. He's very gentle with the person when he's talking to him, because if you're one of the people that went through this in the Catholic Church, he is very sensitive to what you went through. And he gives you all kinds of places you can reach out to get help. And I urge you to reach out to him if this is the case and this pertains to you personally. The predator who SA'd me, I'm going to say his name, Father John Dwyer. I didn't know what was going on at that time, but just remember that name. He was just one of many in the Catholic Church that were doing this to different children across the world, across the country. It was so bad and so rampant that the Boston Globe and their reporters did an investigative study into abuse of children by Catholic priests. And it was well known. It was so well known that there was a movie that came out that was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and the investigative study was so accurate that the movie was named Spotlight for a reason. It was to bring attention to the Catholic Church, to the priests, to the children that were being abused. And I urge you to go ahead and Google it, check it out. It's very informative, and it was very, very highly investigated and very, very accurate. This is not stories that are made up by children. This is not stories made up by grown adults that were children at the time. They did this study for a reason, for a very good reason. We also, I want you as parents to take note of the signs, what your children will, their behavior, what it will be like, what they will go through, their loss of appetite, their concentration level, different ways, maybe in their drawings, depending on their age and stuff. Are they drawing this out? Look and see what your children are drawing. And I'm going to say this again before this podcast is over with. If you want your children raised in the Catholic Church, get out of bed and go to church with them. Because a priest or no one can touch them when mom and dad are sitting in the pew in the Catholic Church right beside their young children. Please. This should never happen to any child. Never mind in a church. There's all kinds of things. Myself, like science, this is a list I made up because this is what I was exhibiting as a child. Short temper, fighting a lot, always angry, no matter what, very combative, disagreeable, undisciplined, fighting every rule and law along the way as a child, substance abuse. I'm going to get more into this. Look for your children if they start becoming withdrawn. They're isolating. They don't want to be around anyone. These are telltale signs that something is going on with your child. I'm not a child psychologist by any means. And again, I want to reiterate, this is not to slam Pope Francis because he has just passed away. I will get into more of what it means to me and what the changes I'm going through again at 66 years old, because I'm getting ready to tell you my story. Look for drug abuse, look for alcohol abuse. Those are two things at a very young age. If they're doing this, there's a reason why, folks, okay? Believe me. Again, my name is Bob, and here is my story. The name of my story is Trust Betrayed and Innocence Stolen. When I was a child growing up, we don't need this no more. When I was a child growing up, the two things that I was taught in my home, two people you can trust the most in the world, a priest and a police officer. Remember the name of this? Trust Betrayed and Innocence Stolen. I was a young boy. I just thought the priest just liked me and wanted me to hang out with him and stuff in the church after Mass. It all starts with a little bit of wine, then a little bit more wine. Then why don't you come and sit on my lap? And then he moves you over a little bit further on his lap. Remember the name, Father John Dwyer. I'll never forget it until the day I die. But there's one thing I do know. You can't shoot a priest, okay? You just can't do it. You just won't do it. Your heart won't allow you to do it, no matter what. I grew up in that little town. I went to St. Mary's of the Bay. That part of our town was called the Village. You all know who I am if you see this video. That's right. We all grew up together. At one point, I started hiding in my friend's cellar. I just told him I didn't feel like going to church anymore. I just couldn't stand to sit there for an hour. Didn't like it. But that wasn't the truth. I started drinking at a very young age. I was a teenage alcoholic. I didn't do hard drugs, but I smoked pot. It helped me deal with the dreams, the nightmares, not being able to sleep at night, and it helped me sleep. And I went through high school, and I graduated, and I went in the military. It was my way of getting out of that town and getting away. Them sitting on the lap escalated to touch me, and touch me here, and more, and more, and more. This is how they operate, and this is what they do to you. They don't care about you as a person. There is no God involved in this. It's one of their sick fantasies as a priest and what they feel they can get away with. You know, remember, I grew up in this little town, 7 miles long, 4 Catholic churches in it, in the 70s. How dare you come in at home and say that the priest essayed you? Oh, no, 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 no. You don't do that in the 70s, folks, because they are the most revered people in the world. The Catholics can do no wrong, and the priests are the leaders, and they're the ones that guide you through life and help you make decisions, and you can trust them with anything and everything, and you can say anything and everything. Don't go in your house and say that. Don't tell your grandmother that the priest is essaying you. Oh, no, that ain't happening either. I'm a grown man now, and it still affects me. I stayed away from my hometown for 30 years before I would go back, because as a child, I blamed myself. It was my fault. I did it. I somehow made him do this to me. And that's what I believed as a kid growing up. So yes, I started drinking at 9 years old. Please, parents, keep an eye on your children and look for this. You just don't go out at 9 years old and decide, I want a 6-pack of Budweiser. That's not how it works. There's a reason why you want that 6-pack of Budweiser. There's a reason why you want to smoke weed. It's all to cope with all the emotions, the changes. You start questioning yourself. You start questioning your sexuality. Wait a minute. I'm not knocking anyone's sexuality. I'm not saying it's good or bad to be this way or that way or anything. But these are the changes you will go through as a child growing up. These are the changes that will affect you. Did it keep on going? Yes, I drank and drank and drank. It wasn't because I liked to party with the guys and everything and have a good time. Now, I can go to a barbecue and have a couple of beers, or I can go out with one of my very good friends and we can go to a sports bar and watch a game and everything and have dinner and have a few drinks and stuff. I'm 66 years old. I don't go out every night and do that. No. When the Pope died, this brought it all back up to me. I stayed away because I was ashamed. I didn't want my family to know. I was 50, I want to say I was 60 years old, 62 maybe, when I finally told a member of my family, the only one that knows. My mother, God rest her soul, went to her grave and never knew what happened to her son in the Catholic Church. I never wanted to tell her. I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want her blaming herself for me being there. But again, I'm going to say, a priest cannot get near your child if you're sitting in the pew next to him. So please get out of bed and take your children to church. Don't drop them off at the door, or like we did, walk to church and walk home. No supervision, no adults with us, just little kids walking down the street. It got so bad that I went into all kinds of drug abuse, staying away from family, staying away from friends, not wanting anyone to see me, still blaming myself. No matter what, it was my fault. It's not the child's fault. We were children. We were children back in the 70s. We were little kids. We didn't know anything. We didn't know any better. It wasn't like we were 25 years old and been on the dating scene or anything. This is how they take, and this is how they get away with taking advantage, and they're saying, little boys. It's not little girls, don't worry, your daughters are safe. They don't care about that. But don't let this happen to your child, okay? I went through so many changes growing up. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know who to go to. Because again, it was my fault. And that's what I thought. It's not my fault, though. It took a long time, most of my life, my adult life, before I could even talk about it, say anything. And then I saw a commercial, and I saw an ad, and then I went ahead and I got on the internet and I saw the investigative study and the movie Spotlight mentioned and everything. Mitchell Garabedian. And I called him. And he was one of the most sensitive people I have ever been around, spoken to, and had the pleasure of being able to talk to. Very understanding. And he dedicated his life and law to this because he said that this should never, ever happen again. I don't like what happened to me. I can't change what happened to me. I had to learn in all these years how to change my way of handling it. Did I handle it right? No. Is it an excuse for being a teenage alcoholic and a drug abuser? No, it's no excuse whatsoever. It happened. I dealt with it the wrong way. Back then, there was no, we'll get him counseling or anything. They just thought, he just likes to fight. That was the anger coming out of me. I was angry at myself. I was angry at God. I was angry at the church. I was angry at any frickin' person I could be angry at. But again, who could I go to? There is no going to anyone, folks. There isn't. It's just not anyone to go to. No one's going to believe you. Maybe now. Times have changed. It's 2025. Talk to someone that grew up in the 70s and ask them, would you accuse a priest of essaying you? There ain't a Catholic in the world that would say yes. And there isn't a Catholic adult that would believe you as a little boy. Quit lying. Quit telling fibs. You're punished. Go to your room. That's what you're going to hear. Don't let your children grow up and go through what I went through for all those years. I hated myself. You don't know how many times I would rather be dead. I went in the military into a combat unit for one reason. It was the perfect way for me to get everything out of me. It was sanctioned. I could be whatever I wanted to be. I did my job and I did it good. Got out of the military, you know what? It was still there. Nothing changed. I just kept on doing what I was doing, destroying my body every single day, hoping that one day I just wouldn't wake up. Hoping the dreams would go away. No, they don't go away, okay? I don't care what anyone tells you. I'm living proof. This is my story. Trust betrayed and innocence stolen. And now that the Pope, when he passed away, every single memory, nightmare, dream, sweats, all that has come back to the surface all these years later. I'm 66. I was 8 and 9 years old at the time. It didn't go away, folks, and it doesn't go away. I believe they call that PTSD. Yeah, imagine that. A little child carrying PTSD all his life, no one to turn to, no one to trust, no one to talk to. If I can't trust the police officer and to tell him, and I can't trust, or I'm supposed to trust a police officer and I'm supposed to trust the priest, but the priest is the one that's doing the dirty deed to me, how am I supposed to believe I can go to a police officer and trust that someone will help me? So I did. I kept it bottled up. I sabotaged relationships. I sabotaged jobs. I made rank quick in the military. I was very good. I climbed the ladder, whatever job I did. Why? Because I was very good. And then I would sabotage it. Let people get close to you? Not going to happen. You're going to only let them get so close, then the walls come up. And you sabotage that. Me personally, yes, that was what I did. And I sabotaged a lot. I ruined a lot of good years of my life. I fucked up a lot of years of my life. Just so I could sleep. Just so I could deal with it. Do I did it the right way? Of course I didn't. And I'll say it again. I didn't know how to deal with it. Didn't know who to go to. Didn't know how to handle it. Wasn't equipped for that. Wasn't programmed for it. So yes, a lot of years of my life were wasted. I spent a lot of years by myself. It was easier. People couldn't get close to me. They started asking too many questions about your childhood and about upbringing and shit. I didn't want to talk about that. 30 years of staying away from my family, my mom, staying away from my siblings, not ever wanting to see them, not wanting to go home. In a small town, some of the people I've known and grew up with and played sports with and everything, I did not want to ever see that town again. Funny thing, I go back to that town 30 years after being away, after the military, and then 30 years of being away, and I take a drive through that little town, and where that church that I went to, I call it the House of Horrors, was destroyed. They sold the land, destroyed the church, and a beautiful home was built on it. I don't care how much that home costs. I would never walk one step through that doorway. Because again, those memories don't go away. It's so fresh now it isn't funny. I feel like it's the 70s all over again. I feel like it's 1972, 1970. You can't get away from this stuff. I've learned how to trust a few people, and then I shut down again, and I wouldn't talk about it. And then I went to a friend of mine and said, I'm ready. All this is coming back up to the surface again, and I need to talk. I don't want to go and redo what I ruined so many years of my life doing. So trust me, putting this out here and putting myself out here for the world to see and hear, not an easy decision. But I don't want to die either. So again, if you can relate to this, and you can say, wow, or you were one of these young children please, please reach out as an adult to someone. And if you are a child in the Boston or in the Catholic Church and anyone touches you or does anything, run. Run fast, run far, run as fast as you can. You go home and you yell at mom and dad until they listen to you. And do me a favor. Find someone that you can trust, okay? Believe me, your life very well may depend upon it. Because I can tell you right now, it's not an easy battle. It is very hard to deal with. It never goes away. I'm a grown man, and there's now times in the last week that I've laid there and I've cried. I've cried myself to sleep. And asked myself, how did you let this happen to yourself, Bob? What? Why? Why did you let this happen, man? I'm a better person for facing my demons and my fears. Will I ever walk in a Catholic church again? Kiss my ever-loving white old ass. Again, I'm not going to try and disrespect the Pope, but many popes before him knew that this shit was going on. And they allowed it. Mine got sent to a bishop camp. That's like getting a promotion. He was a priest. Now he's a bishop. What does that tell you? For all you Catholics out there, and I know I'm going to get some hate mail and everything, and you know what? I'm a big boy. Bring it. I lived it. And until you've lived it, don't try and judge me until you walk a mile in my shoes. And that's all I've got to say, and that's my story. Thank you very much for listening. And if you like this video, and you like any of our other videos on Bob and Jerry, please hit like and subscribe. Again, go to church with your children.